Oh, it's time for class.
Class is in session!
Roll call! Bueller?
I'm gonna be late for class.
Bueller?
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
I'm late for class.
You are mine now. You belong to me.
Did you study for the test?
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimble to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Middle Class Film Class Movie Review Edition. I'm your host for today, Joseph.
I'm Peter.
And I'm Tyler.
And this week, the Wheel of Destiny landed on my pick, Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 as Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve, acclaimed at this point now director.
Hi, my name is Denis Villeneuve.
Many films such as Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, Ansandi, Prisoners, Polytechnique much earlier, and those are the ones at the top of my head. But
I think there's one called like Avalanche or something.
yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
But this is Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Dune, a movie that he's wanted to make for a long time, a story that he's loved since he was a child, and he did it in the best way that he knew how. And the story of Dune, I mean, it was based on a book by Frank Herbert, written in 1965, sci-fi epic, biblical sci-fi is how I would describe it. And essentially a kind of a Shakespearean epic tragedy sort of story following Paul Atreides, son of Leto Atreides, in the Atreides household Atreides. And the story of Dune could be boiled down to and reduced to something as simple as like a revenge story for the betrayal by the emperor of their known universe, and House Harkonnen just essentially sucker punching them to death.
Yeah.
With the entire destruction of the House Atreides, except for Paul and Jessica, and as he gets accepted into the world of the Fremen culture and following down a path of something that he doesn't really want to do, but almost has no control over. And it's kind of hard to sum up in just like one paragraph. But what makes it so much of a complex story are the themes it presents in the story of Dune. Being cautious of charismatic leaders, how much free will do we actually think we have if we're the devout followers of these charismatic leaders? What are humans willing to sacrifice for a messiah-like leader after waiting centuries for them? And are we really in control of our own fate, especially if we've been intentionally brought into the world to fill a prophecy started thousands of years before our own existence? And yeah. So,
do you have? Are you the product of 1,000 years of breeding for a particular purpose?
Breeding, and inbreeding.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
Maybe.
I was born to make this show.
I was born to start a podcast.
That's right.
Every white male ever.
Yeah.
And this is not my first time watching either of these movies. Pete, I know it's not yours. Tyler, I know you've seen the first one once.
Yes.
Definitely. Not the second one.
And the first one was mid when you watched it, right?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Should we go in reverse order? Let Tyler unload on the show first.
I was thinking about that. Should we just go
How did I know? I can read your guys' mind. I knew you were chomping at the bit for my opinion on it.
We can go in standard order. It's fine.
See, the thing is, though, you already know. I mean, Joseph put he's got the book in front of him. Look at this thing.
I do.
I know, bookmarks.
The Bible.
He's got bookmarks and everything.
And he's getting ready to pull shit from
Pull passages.
I know.
passages from the sacred text.
And
Show the camera what that is.
Yeah, I got the Dune exposures.
It's
a photography poetry book made by the DP of Dune, Greg Fraser, and in collaboration with Josh Brolin. Really cool book, honestly, with awesome behind the scenes film photos.
So we already know Joseph was gonna cream his jeans over this.
They've been creamed.
Jeans are already creamy.
Yeah.
My jeans, you can assume are creamed as well because I loved the first one, 5-star easy. Second one, I watched in theaters like 4. I think I gave it 4.5. But you didn't we assume that you're probably going to be the dissenter on it, but we don't. What my curiosity really is, if you've come around the corner on part 1, because
we know that Bruce Perky.
Yeah, our old pal Bruce, movies himself, the voice of the movies himself, said he didn't like the first one. He rewatched it and turned the corner. His opinion changed. He liked the second one, said it was a fantastic movie. Most people consider. And the first one is part 1, 8.0 on IMDb. Part 2, 8.6.
Wow.
I'll get into a little bit later. But
Yeah.
So that's the question is, did you...
Bruce is in the chat.
Hey!
I did turn the corner.
Yeah.
All right. So then...
Are we going me first or Tyler first?
Let's just
you're leading it.
Let's do Tyler first.
All right.
Tyler, let's go in reverse order.
All right.
Reverse cowgirl.
Because I am the most curious. And I can't. Let's just get to it.
Okay. Yeah. So I watched these movies back to back.
With Daryl?
Oh, why did you have to say that?
I'm coming.
No, after the first one, I immediately put on the second one. So I watched it as a whole movie.
Nice.
Cool.
And so the part 1, I do recall saying it was a mid movie. And so upon rewatching it again, I have a little bit more appreciation for it. I think it's a very. I think the plot moving forward in the first one was really, really well paced. Definitely. So like with Dune, like there's a lot of people thinking. So it's kind of hard to incorporate that into a film setting.
Yeah.
But the emoting of all the actors, you can kind of infer what they're thinking if you're a smart person. So I really like the pacing of the first one, and I still say I'm not a super huge fan of Dune, but it definitely, I appreciated it more and liked it a little bit more.
Okay.
Going on to part 2, though, I was fighting to not fall asleep.
Interesting.
It was so boring. There was a lot of eye-rolling moments. I don't like the whole Messiah thing aspect of the story either. I think mostly the problem I had with both parts of Dune is I don't really have like an emotional connection to any of the characters. You're just kind of like there watching this unfold. When I watch movies, I like to be able to connect with them, and that's not a detriment to like the production quality of the films, because these are beautiful, well-made films. I think the acting is great. It's just the plot and like the relationship to characters had me questioning why. It felt like reading. It felt like actually, you know, it's funny. I'm kind of making the connection right now because I've tried to get into Dune, the book, when I was a lot younger.
Oh, yeah.
I've tried to pick it up like 3 or 4 times, and I just couldn't get past like the first like 5 or 6 chapters.
Interesting.
It was just it just felt really sluggish to me. I know it's like very beloved among the sci-fi community, but I just couldn't get past it. But as far as the film goes, it was it's I can't say that I hate it or outright or didn't, or I thought it was boring, but I also
overall
the whole thing.
Yeah, I just thought it was a little boring. However, what I will give it though is that this is definitely like an IMAX theater experience. I was watching it with my headphones in, and I like cranked it up all the way. He has a funny way, like whoever was doing the sound, they always do the boom.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that was made for theaters, because when you hear that in theaters, like it's a lot more effective than when you're watching it at home. But overall, I will say it's like a grade above mid.
What is
Slightly above
What's
mid.
above mid?
Yeah, it's a slight degree
like
above
mid-well.
medium
well.
Med.
Yeah, mid. So overall though, I think watching it like back to back is I would say that's probably the more preferred way to watch it. It's kind of like watching Lord of the Rings. Like if you watch it just like consecutively, like you can really soak yourself into the universe of what's being presented in front of you.
A lot of this.
That's interesting that you found the second part boring compared to the first part, because arguably, actually not arguably, there's a lot more action in part 2 than there is in part 1.
Yeah, I think mostly it was when it was slow. In part 2, the parts were really slow.
Like where he's acclimating to the Fremen.
Yeah,
becoming part of their culture. Tyler's like, I don't want to learn about another culture.
Yeah, that's me, all right.
White people have enough culture. Tyler Noe.
I kind of, I thought also having Timothée Chalamet being, it felt weird that he was this white, rich, affluent kid is leading a bunch of tribal people.
Yeah.
And there was something that felt wrong about it. It felt like white Jesus. It felt like white Jesus-y.
You understand Johnny's perspective then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But
so you do connect with the character.
Because I don't think that
took me a second to click with that.
I don't think that that's supposed to be lost on you. I think that's the point of it. You're like this fucking white savior.
Do you think he's supposed to be like the hero?
I mean, they're making you believe so.
He convinced you.
Yeah, you drank the
oh my god,
you drank the water of life.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's like one of the central themes of like the whole.
Okay,
the
well,
whole
so now I have a greater appriation.
He's Darth Vader.
Okay. No, he's more. It's more like Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, he's Anakin. He hasn't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the chosen one?
Yeah,
you're supposed to be the chosen one.
I that was lost on me. I took the whole part 1 and part 2 at like a very surface level.
Nice.
Oh,
so that so maybe I should have reflected on it a little bit more. It goes to show how intelligent I am.
No, I mean that's fine.
Goes right over my head.
Now a lot of people watched it and they're like, "This guy's supposed to be the hero," and they're like, "You're so close. You're so close to getting it."
I know there was
right on the edge of
because
it.
I knew nothing about. Well, I'll get that.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah. I mean, like from a just a movie point of view and storytelling and pacing, I thought the story was but now that you're opening my eyes, it might be a little bit deeper than I imagined. But before I even made that realization, I was like, it's okay, it's okay. It looks great. It's just it felt a little wooden, but
interesting.
Could have used more bass drops.
There's a lot of bass drops.
I know.
All right. Pete, not your first time watching either of these parts of a movie.
Nope. First time watching them back to back, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, also with my dad. Just kidding, my mom.
Oh my god, even worse.
Even weirder, yeah.
Oh man.
Before
I'm coming.
Before I go any further, number one, Bruce in the chat says, I think the whole point of the movie is an indictment of both the idea of a white savior and the Messiah as the villain. It also shows religion is mostly manipulative. Yeah.
I drank the water of life.
Yeah, that's right, you did.
God damn it.
And then also before I give my, Joseph, hold your camera, make sure I don't yank this out. I'm going to grab my camera. I got to show the audience something cool.
Okay. Oh, the...
Can you see that? Barely.
You could bring that over here, too.
This is a art piece that our listener, Jack, made for me for my birthday. You see it?
Yeah, bring it over. There you go. You get the whole thing.
There it is.
Lighthouse, Simpsons.
Yeah.
What more could you ask for?
Gab and Chatter, Lighthouse, Simpsons crossover.
Best anime crossover.
That's right. So it's going to go on the wall here in the studio for good. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it, buddy. And he mailed it all the way from Australia.
Yeah.
How'd it get here?
Mailed it.
Wow.
Mailed it through the mail. Okay, so let me fix this camera here. There we go. Okay. So Dune Part 1, Part 2. Have not seen it back to back like that. Mm-hmm. And generally, I won't watch Kill Bill Part 1 unless I'm ready to do Part 2.
Right.
Yeah.
I almost never watch Fellowship of the Ring unless I'm prepared to watch
All of them.
all of them. Not
Yeah.
for the same day usually. I've only done that one time.
But within
within the span of a couple of days, and like I'm going to get the whole experience.
Right. This
is 100% added to that list of movies that should be watched start to finish, because there's foreshadowing in part 1 that gets paid off in part 2 multiple times. Multiple times. There's visions that Paul has that don't really make a whole lot of sense throughout. After I've seen the movie start to finish once from both. Actually, I've seen the first part 3 times or 3 or 4 times, and the second part I've seen twice before this. So now, having seen them all and then watching it in one continuous unit, it was really impressive that it's funny, as we were talking, I have IMDb pulled up for part 1 and part 2. And you know how they have like the trailers scrolling, constantly playing?
Yeah.
At some point, it's obviously it's on mute or whatever, but there's an interview with Denis.
Hi, my name is Denis Villeneuve.
Yes, Denis Villeneuve. And he says part 2, if it ever happens, is just going to be so fun. In this interview, I can read the subtitles of it. And I'm like, he didn't
bet on himself.
He didn't 100% know that he was going to make part 2.
Yeah.
So he's putting in, planting the seeds of foreshadowing that aren't going to pay off for another 4 hours of screen time.
Yeah.
On a movie that hasn't even been made yet. That's really betting on yourself.
Yeah.
And he put part 1 at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a complete surprise too, because a lot of times if you look it up on a lot of databases or a lot of like Just Watch, I think has just Dune, and then Dune Part 2. They don't specify Dune Part 1, because originally that was the release title, was just Dune. We went and saw it in IMAX. Was like, oh, it's Dune.
Yeah.
And then on the screen it says, I don't think the beginning it said Dune, and then the end it said Dune Part 1. And you're like, what the fuck?
There's going to be another one.
It's already happening.
I mean, to the non-book readers and anyone who knows anything about the story, they're like, another one.
Yeah. And it make total sense, too, when you get to the end. You're like,
they could easily...
All this of part 1 was just a setup to get him into this new culture and set him on the path to becoming the Messiah or not becoming the Messiah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that's the first movie is like act 1 of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Really, I know,
if I were to I don't want to reference the book too much because I don't want to.
Please do.
But like, Act 1 is essentially of the movie is like this part of the book.
Really?
Yeah.
Like 2/3 of the book.
Pretty much.
Act 1, like part 1 of the
movie.
movie.
Part 1 movie is that part.
That's really interesting because...
More or less.
And then I'm sure they go more into the politics and like the back behind the scenes of all that kind of stuff and how different houses view the Atreides house and all that kind of stuff. But, the things that I really appreciate and admire, again, on a rewatch of the entire movie as a whole, is that they take this idea of there's so many things that are not explained out inherently. They might be explained in a throwaway line, like the fact that they don't use laser guns.
There's a lot of implications.
Yeah, it's like at some point AI took over something, and now they use swords. So it's like
traditional like.
Oh, I totally missed that. That's why they don't use guns.
It's not explained explicitly in the movie at all.
There's one throwaway line that says something about how we don't use technology or no computers or something like that. I don't even remember
no
it.
No thinking machines.
Yeah, that's why
there was a war on AI at some point in humanity.
That's why the human calculators that they have,
the Mentats,
they're the guys with the lip piercing, tattoo or whatever. David Desmalchian and William McKinley, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
A stray laser killed your father.
Not so many laser beams, just like swords, which is like, okay, well that's a lightsaber,
Yeah. It's like medieval future.
Yeah, and I really liked that part of it. I liked they just gloss over. You're like, here's the world, just accept the fact that some people can fly and some people can't. You flip the spine light on the big fat guy and he just flies. And you're like, okay, well, how do these guys fly? The Tarkinins, or the what are they called? The Sardaukar, yeah. So I really liked that part of it. I like the scope and scale of it. The fact that it's Greg Fraser means that it's going to be a gorgeous movie. But even going from part 1 to part 2, watching that gradual transition of Chalamet, aka Paul, Mohadib, Usul, what's his other name? Atreides.
Yeah.
Is that his Mohadib?
Yeah, Muad'Dib.
Usul, Atreides. Watching him go from this like young boy that doesn't want to lead, and he's talking to his dad, and that whole interaction was just gorgeous. On the cliffs, overlooking all the graves of their ancestors past and whatnot. Loved that. I would like to know a little bit more about like the hidden meaning behind the bullfighting. Because they keep showing the bullhead. They keep showing Grandpa. Oh, Grandpa was a bullfighter. He bought full sport. Well, look what it did. Look at how good it did him. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, I like that. I don't know if that has some specific meaning better explained in the book, or if I'm just too dense to pick up on the imagery.
Yeah, I don't remember there being that much of a explanation on that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just the fact that they face stuff head on, because he does say, we're the House Atreides. There's no call we won't answer. There's no whatever. So I thought that was beautiful. That was great. And on first watch, my thoughts on the names were like, they have Chani and they have Stilgar. They have
Hawat.
They have Hawat. They have all these crazy names, and then they got Duncan, Idaho.
Yeah.
And Paul and Jessica.
Yeah.
And you're like, why do they have these normal ass names? But then you're like, well, they're a completely different race of people. They're the Atreides house. They're the stand-in for colonial England.
The closest to like human that we can relate to.
Yeah, and Gurney even says they're not human. They fight like beasts.
The Harkonnen
are. So I liked that. On rewatch, I liked how they take all these different planets, different people are standing for. They have the Harkonnen are Nazis. Clearly imperial Nazis.
Yeah.
They're ruthless. They'll kill for sport. They backdoor deals. They
evil.
Actually evil, like true evil. And then the Fremen are a Middle Eastern culture, an undescribed sand.
Indigenous,
living in the middle of nowhere. They're kind of clinging to hope, because there's a great line that says, the people that live in the deep south, the southern hemisphere of Arrakis, if you're going to live there, you have to live off of hope. That's why the
open faith.
Yeah, that's why you have faith. That's it. You have to live in faith. That's why the Bene Gesserit have spent so much time sowing these potential
stories and prophecies.
And it's like, all that's just like, of course, in the fucking Bible, there's these people in power that want to control the poor, and they put the idea of a God that would kill you if you have sex with your sister or a cow into your head.
If you mix your fabrics.
Yeah. And part of me is like, I'm going way off page here, but I have strong feelings about this, religion and how it falls into the world. But like the Bible, if you think of it in terms of just a good guiding principle for people that era and that day, it's like, why do we keep getting sick when we eat pig from the waist down? It's like, because they're cutting the stomach open and all the bile is spilling all over the meat, and they're eating the meat and they're getting sick from it.
Yeah.
They're getting sick from eating shellfish because it doesn't hold well. And
they're allergic to shellfish.
Oh yeah, they could be just allergic. Or it's just like that shit doesn't hold very well. So they catch it and they put it in a storage facility or salt it, and then it gets bad and it kills them.
Yeah.
You eat bad mussels, you die. So it's like
die.
all these things that are like guiding you to live a safer, better life are put into the Old Testament.
Yeah.
It's like desert, sheep herders. It's like, stop fucking your children. Please stop.
Being abusive.
They're like, why though? Well, this book says the guy in the sky is going to kill you if you do.
It's going to send you a fiery hell.
Yeah. Who's that guy? It's God. Haven't you ever thought about where you come from? Oh, yeah, I do, actually. It's like, well, he's the guy that put you here, and he's going to kill you if you keep doing that.
And he's mad.
He's real mad.
He's real mad.
So stop stealing shit from your neighbor and, So it's like it's in that sense, it's a good guiding principle.
The manipulation, though.
But it goes further than that.
Don't manipulate me not to fuck sheep.
If it was just that, I'd be cool with it. But then it's also like, oh, by the way, give us half your money, or 10% of everything you earn, and we're just going to use it for whatever the fuck we want, and we're going to tell you we're better than you because we're in this special.
Because we know we're in with the guy.
We know the guy. We talk to him sometimes for real.
Yeah.
So it's like all that stuff was like placed into this, and it's like seeing like the backdoor dealings and like the puppet strings being pulled by the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah.
And it was like it's so cool, and I really love the story. It's so robust. It's so good. And when Paul makes the turn and he goes to the siege, and he addresses the siege, is fucking phenomenal. He really comes into his own, and he's like, they're chastising Chani for just talking to Stilgard. Like, shit, you can't talk here.
Yeah.
Go outside if you want to talk. And he comes in like, I'll kill everyone here.
Yeah.
No one can stand against me. And everyone pulls their knife out, and he's like, I'm the Duke of Arrakis. Fuck you.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Exactly. He's like, that's one of the greatest just
turns of a character.
Balls out, full dick swinging in the wind, you know. And he went from not wanting this, and I think the thing that I didn't realize on the first couple watches was seeing when he finally drinks the water of life, and you're like, there's a great little flashback to him with the guy that he killed in the first one at the very end. Gemmis, who you think is going to be his friend, and they're sitting on the top of the dune. He goes, before you go hunting, before you go out into battle, you need to be on the highest dune and see everything.
Yeah.
And it's like his mother also said, before you see the future, you need to see everything that came in the past. When he drinks the water of life, he gets all the visions of all the mother, whatever they call it.
Like the Avatar.
Yeah, he needs to see. Yeah, exactly. He needs to see everything in the past, and he sees it, so he's able to see everything in the future. He's able to sit on the highest dune and look before he makes a decision.
Yeah.
And to his credit, he knows it's not going to be popular, so he doesn't tell Chani. He's just like, I love you, trust me. Yeah. And then he's like, hey, can I marry this bitch?
Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, but except for he didn't apologize.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't know. It's just really, really great. And so many great visuals. Austin Butler killed it. The one thing that was a little out of place to me was coming in like, who's this Muad'Dib guy?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
It was kind of humorous on the first viewing seeing him because it was like Paul. It was like that.
Yeah.
I was definitely surprised seeing him. I was like,
yeah, I think he does fine for the role.
He does,
and he's not in it at all. Pretty much.
No.
Just when he says that, Muad'Dib, tell me more.
More. I need more.
Muad'Dib. Oh, that's it. That's all you know. Yeah. And it's like it's so funny. So, anyways, I absolutely love these movies, and I absolutely love this one giant movie.
Yeah,
spectacular.
Yeah.
All right. So I wrote down my thoughts because whenever I try to talk to Deanna about this, I just ramble, and she gets annoyed.
All right. She's like, give it a rest.
Because she was reading the book before the first movie came out, and she got maybe 2/3 of the way through, and then she didn't want to finish it before part 2 came out.
Oh,
because she didn't want
to get spoiled
of the story.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But she never ended up finishing it. And obviously we saw the movie and how it ended. Obviously there's things that were omitted and things that were changed. But But then after I watched part 2, I went and read the book and was captivated by the book as well. It's definitely different. It's its own thing, and the movie is its own thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think that like these people who watch movies adapted by books, the book readers obviously will be disappointed no matter what of a director's adaptation of whatever movie the book is based on.
I don't know, but I'm a book reader, and I rarely get disappointed from book adaptations.
I think that's more the exception because you hear that more than anything.
But because there are the book
is better.
People who are literalists with the Bible.
Sure.
They'll just take it literally. There are book readers like that. It's the movie is not like the book at all. And me, I'm not, I wouldn't call myself a book reader. I'm a very visual person, visual first type of person.
Right.
And then the book is just a supplement for me to that. Mm-hmm. Supplement I take every morning. And so honestly, and Not everyone's a reader. I'm barely a reader. It took me a while to just finish this. But yeah, it was.
Everyone's a reader.
No, I said not everyone's a reader.
Not everyone's a reader.
I'm not. I wish I was.
So
It's hard.
So I wrote my thoughts down in a fashion. Not since Lord of the Rings have we, as a society, been given a story presented visually this epic. And this is just my opinion of this story.
I'm looking at Joseph's screen right now, and he wrote a full blown essay.
Yeah, I did.
Holy shit.
Cool.
I can't wait.
So not since Lord of the Rings have we been given a story presented this visually epic of this scale and also executed so well on pretty much every level. Is that funny?
I just like how much you were really passionate about this.
He's prepped.
I am. The directing, the casting, the acting, the wardrobe, the set design, the cinematography, the lighting, the writing, and just presenting the themes of the source material in such a way that makes it easy and digestible, but still has an aura of mystery and complexity and ambiguity to it. And also, not since Lord of the Rings have I felt so impressed by something that I go into the lore and actually read a book for once. Is it better than Lord of the Rings? I don't know. I don't think it is, but they're both floating at the top.
Yeah. It's rarefied air up there.
I know. Why I find this like story and the movie so compelling is because of the world building and the characters. Secondary to that would be the themes of the story, and thirdly would be the technical things like the cinematography and the editing. Walking out of the theater from part one back in 2021, my mind was blown, is in pieces, just by the sheer epicness of what was shown to me. Watching it again at home, I was able to understand more of the story and follow more of the intricacies of the characters' backgrounds and motivations. At that time, I had not read the book, knew next to nothing about the lore, and honestly, that increased my enjoyment of everything. The mystery of not knowing everything about everyone elevated the experience for me because you have all these different characters that have all these different backgrounds. Like Hawat, for example, they don't call him a Mentat. You know, that name's never brought up, and Mentats are essentially human computers because they outlawed thinking machines. And also David Desmalchian's character, who's unnamed in the movie, but his character's name is Peter DeVries, also a Mentat. And obviously those characters are not in it that much. They're more prevalent in the book. There are scenes filmed with both of them together.
Oh, interesting.
But were deleted from the final product. Part 2, Dune Part 2, I was just as impressed with in Part 1. They cranked everything up to 11, and pretty much everything that they set up for in Part 1 was paid off in Part 2. And that's kind of why I wanted to view this as one movie, because you get everything from Part 1 and you get the payoff in Part 2.
Yeah.
The reveal of Paul and Jessica being Harkonnens was such a well-placed bombshell of a reveal that if Paul had learned that sooner, it definitely would have hit him way harder if he was in a different mindset, if he was still the Paul in Part 1.
Yeah.
When Paul takes on that leader role and is essentially taking lead over the Fremen and giving his speech, like you said, Pete, it's just iconic. It's like everything that we and Paul didn't want to see for his character's arc, but at the same time, it was so convincing, not just for the character, but for Chalamet as an actor, because I had no idea that he could even deliver a performance that loud and that commanding.
Yeah.
Made me excited to see what his future is going to be like as an actor.
Both the duels, honestly, in Part 1 and Part 2, but the duel between Paul and Feyd-Rautha especially has got to be like one of the best executed knife fight scenes
Yeah, that was awesome.
I've ever seen. Granted, I can't think of many others that would fit into that specific category of knife fights.
William Friedkin's The Hunted. It's almost exclusively knife fights throughout the whole movie. Real worth a watch.
But the way that scene was filmed with no music, all you just hear is the clinking of the knives and the punches and the headbutts.
Silhouette against the sunset.
Yeah. Really fucking great. And then the tragedy of Paul and Chani's like love story is so heartbreaking to watch as she watches the person that she fell in love with knowingly turn into something that she despises. And it took a second viewing for me for Part 2 for me to land on that it was just a tiny bit better than Part 1. if part 2 is a 10 out of 10, then part 1 is a 9.9 out of 10. But as one story and one movie, it's a 10 out of 10 in my book, A++. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
Each viewing. Sorry, I'm almost done.
Oh, I was gonna say. I was like,
Each viewing of each of these movies, like I've gotten emotional in different parts. Never the same part.
Really? That's cool.
It's never like consistent. Like each part. Like when I watch Lord of the Rings, I can guarantee like there are moments where I'm like, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen.
You bow for no man.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah. Never at the same part in these movies. In part 1, when Duke Leto, his father, tells him that the only thing he needed Paul to be was his son.
Oh, great.
When he was in the still tent after he has his vision of the Holy War and he breaks down crying and he just says, "My father is dead." At the end of part 1, after he kills Jamis and is looking at his lifeless body, thinking that he was supposed to be his friend and mentor, and also now he can't even trust himself and his vision.
yeah.
In part 2, when we see Chani and Paul sand walking together in the desert, when he's sitting on the sand dune and puts his father's ring away after saying that he found his way in reference to the speech given to him by his father in the cemetery. Maybe you'll find your own way to leadership.
Yeah.
When he is just admiring Chani, teaching him the ways of the Fremen, and you have that music playing. I have a note on that later, a little fun fact. When he is caught between a rock and a hard place and is reaching out to Jamis in the potential timeline where they are friends for guidance, when he tells Chani that he will go south and do what must be done, and finally when he gives this final look to Chani before she leaves for the desert. And then
Those are all your emotional triggers?
Yeah, those are the ones like so far anyway. I saw part 2 3 times in theater.
Really?
Yeah, I saw when it came out the first time at IMAX. I saw it a month later at a standard size theater. I was able to absorb the story more. First one, it was just like
Percussive,
loud
sound, yeah.
visuals, very cool. And third time I went, they put it back in IMAX, and then I went and saw it again, so I can get a combination of the loud and the story. And I've seen part 1. Part 1 was released differently. It was released in IMAX, and then like a month later, or on the same day, actually, it was released on HBO.
Yeah.
That's when they were doing that Warner Brothers.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And I watched it like 2 more times the same week. And there's a lot of stuff that I'll get into later about the comparisons between the book. But as far as the movie goes, like the casting of this movie is fucking like if the Oscars, like if they do that category next year, like this, I feel like should be in that nomination.
I don't think like Austin Butler didn't seem like he would be the right fit for that character. I don't think Jason Momoa felt like he would be the right fit for the character. But when you see him in the movie, they both absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. The character Duncan, like I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, yeah, he's like the badass guy who's like a mentor to Paul. But then on second watch, like you can really feel like that they have a history, and it's not just like the superficial history. It's like
it's a true friendship.
I like he was like kind of like he was like a patriarch to him.
He like a big brother.
Yeah,
he looks up to him.
He was, and then when I don't think it was him, but it was Gurney. When he tells him that his father's dead in the desert afterwards, and he immediately kneels to his Lord.
Yeah.
And it's like, that scene was kind of intense. I didn't really even tag it as anything emotional at all in the first couple watches, but watching it here, like his father's dead. He's already in the state of mourning and already in the state of panic and escaping and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like dragging his mom along, and they're all just trying to survive. And then Gurney like kneels to him, and you're just like, oh fuck, I'm also the king of
Duncan. Duncan is the one that finds him.
Duncan was the one.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Gurney, after the attack, Gurney is like he is just out of the movie pretty much.
He becomes like
you're right. It was Duncan.
He becomes a Han Solo character.
But yeah, he kneels to him and says, "My Lord," and he like puts his hand on his head, and he's like, "Now I'm also on top of all this. I got to be the fucking king of Atreides, House Atreides."
Yeah.
Do they ever in the book, Joseph? Do they ever specify Paul's age? Like I know he's supposed to be a young adult, but
in the book he's supposed to be 15.
Oh my God, I can't. Can you even imagine being 15 and having all of this responsibility dumped on you? I'd
Yeah.
be like, I just want to smoke weed with my friends out in Arrakis and
then
then
you're-
spice.
And then your balls drop, and you have to be the king of the Frem and all the Duke Leto or Duke Atreides of Arrakis.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I mean,
would
the
just-
age is like obviously not disclosed in the movie, but like they fucking nailed it with like Chalamet was the perfect, like physically,
Yeah.
like visually, like the perfect representation of a young person who's probably supposed to be like,
I'd say 15, 16, 17,
like
somewhere in that
like,
range.
I would say like 17, 18, something like that.
Was when that first shot of him getting out of bed with the low light, again, Greg Fraser killing it. You're looking at him, you're like, he's a scrawny little fucker.
It's a child.
He's a youngster, you know. He's a hairless little slippery little guy.
a little otter.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, you don't see much as he gets older, but I mean 3 years later in the time of the release, right?
Yeah.
21 and 24, right?
No, he yeah
2021 to 2024 release dates.
Yeah, he was like 20, like early 20s when he made the first one, later 20s when he made the second one.
Yeah, but I mean he definitely went from looking like a little kid
Yeah,
to
an adolescent.
a young man.
Adolescent. But as far the casting, like as far as the casting for each of the characters, like give the director, the casting director, the Oscar right now.
Yeah.
Like every single one of these actors are perfectly placed in their roles, and they each perform the role very well.
Yeah.
Weakest probably being Walken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like when I'm watching this movie, I'm not watching Zendaya teach Timothy Chalamet how to sandwalk. I'm not watching Josh Brolin play the Balisette.
You're watching the characters.
I'm not watching Stellan Skarsgård in a fat suit take an oil bath.
What is a gift? Not a gift.
And I'm watching Paul and Chani fall in love. I'm watching Gurney Halleck surviving as a spice smuggler, and the Baron being a manipulative, predatory, and pure evil.
Yeah.
And
He was great.
yeah, and it's the Baron specifically, his character, because in the book he's essentially a pedophile.
Not surprised.
And in each version of the story, in like Lynch's version, and then there's a BBC miniseries.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-episode miniseries that I watched.
Hodorowski's?
No, he never made his movie.
Oh, that was unmade. I didn't know that.
And then in this version, to a lesser extent, probably to a better extent, they made him less obvious that he likes young children. But if you're watching in the movie in the background, you always see he's surrounded by very young looking, not wearing much clothes,
Yeah.
younger people.
Yeah.
Like in part 2, when he's in that spa after the gladiator fights,
Yeah.
you see like 2 people like wearing and then they're like standing like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always 2 or 3 like waiting on him in the pits.
Yeah, and in the previous versions, he's way more creepy.
Yeah.
In the BBC version, with William Hurt plays the Leto Atreides.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the actor, I can't remember his name, but he is like comically creepy. He wears like these red leather like straps, and it's crazy. But yeah, casting again, just overall.
Yeah, that's
really
an
good.
interesting point because I think the casting was great. I can't imagine who other than Timothy Chalamet could like. I can't even think of anyone who could play Paul. He that was like the perfect role for him. He was born for that role.
The guy that played the Baron in the BBC miniseries, his name is Ian McNeice.
Oh yeah, Ian McNeice.
And he plays the guy who picks up Ace Ventura in Ace Ventura Part 2.
Oh yeah, he's the
chubby guy,
the British guy
who picks him up in the Jeep, and they're running back, and Ace Ventura's going like this, and he's sitting in the completely still in the passenger seat.
Let's do all the things that you want to do. Yeah.
All the scenes with the Baron were very unsettling, and I think in Part 2, the one that was the most unsettling is where you hear the woman scream behind the closed door, and then you hear that, like just the fact that you could hear the crunch.
Yeah,
it was, and then you don't know what he did. And he's so forbidding every time he's on screen too, because he does that whole like snake thing.
Yeah, because he has the risers that essentially, because he's too fat to walk,
Yeah.
he uses the risers to get around.
Yeah.
Which are like dock-ocked into his spine.
And another thing about the themes of Dune as well that got me really thinking was of course I would be a part of the Fremen, but I was thinking
You complain every time it's over 100 degrees. I gotta go do my job.
It's up to 140 degrees on Arrakis.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that would be terrible, and I would
should get
still be
yourself a-
complaining.
You would still be a delivery driver on Arrakis.
I know I would.
You get yourself a still suit.
But what I liked about the themes was that me as the audience, when there was like a little speech that the Baron does about how like wealth is power or power is wealth or something along those lines, and that for me as the audience, you can see who played Drax.
Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista.
Raban.
Because Dave Bautista is listening to him like wax on about it. Raban. And you can see the confusion on Dave Bautista's face because
He has a great confused face.
because he's like from what I he does.
What?
Because
He's
from
just like,
because from what I interpreted as is that that was like a common thing is like, why do we need this much money like when we have like everything like it's like why
80 years.
But at the same time, he's also like they took it away from us.
Bruh.
Why?
Yeah.
I like when he lets go and he's able to
Fucking just goes.
yeah. I can't believe they took us for that Duke. Rats.
I did laugh at that part.
Goes 0 to 11 real quick, or 0 to 100 real quick.
Or when he's like he bashed that guy's head against the council.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you I'm like, what are you doing, man?
He is furious because he's doing a horrible job of maintaining spice production.
I also liked when Walken's character is introduced into like really brought into the story, which is a tale as old as time. I need to get this guy over here, so I'm going to challenge him to a duel.
Yeah.
And it's like you could just say no, no.
Oh
No.
But he brings the whole fucking ship.
Yeah, he brings the
big
armada.
big chrome dome.
Well, the plan was that he would come and settle the war, and it would make him look like a hero, right? That was Arulin's Florence Pugh's character. Essentially, that was the plan that she elaborated to.
Oh, really?
Said like, you can let them fight, let the Harkonnens and the Fremen fight, and then you come in, try to make peace, and you would come out as hero.
Yeah.
Even though the Bene Gesserit are working with the Emperor, but they're also working above the Emperor to serve their own designs.
Yeah.
Well, I like when he comes in and it's like Baron Harkonnen and Raban and Fade Rautha. They're all like badass motherfuckers in the movie. They're fucking killing people. They're torturing people. This dude's Yue's wife.
Raban's a little bit of a dunce.
Yeah, but he's a little of a coward too. He runs away in a couple scenes, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But then when the Emperor comes up, they're like, you were supposed to do a job. You didn't do it. And he just basically
coward.
cuts his life support off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's just like that. He's the baddest motherfucker in the room. He didn't even have to try.
Yeah, and that was like one of the notes I think from Christopher Walken when he got the role. He was like, "How do I gonna portray an emperor of a universe?" And the note I think from Denis was that like, don't worry about you portraying the emperor, just worry about how everyone treats you. Like you will be the emperor because everyone will essentially be serving you.
Yeah.
Yeah, as the emperor, you don't have to try, basically.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to be looming powerful because in part one, like the emperor, you only hear him by
You
name.
only hear about him, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it sounds so ominous when he's brought up, the emperor.
Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, and he's
Somehow
like
he came back.
and he's basically as much in the movie as he is in the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
maybe a little bit more, but he's not mentioned or in many scenes. He's only in like the beginning and maybe at the end. At the end, obviously. But yeah, the Paul as a character, one of the most complex characters happens to be, of course, the main character in this story and movie, and he's also very young. I would assume he's supposed to be, like we talked about, like 17, 19 years old.
Yeah.
He's 15 in the book when the story starts, and is 17, 18 when it ends in the book. His whole life so far, he's been taught combat by arguably the fiercest fighters in the known galaxy, Duncan Idaho and Gurney Halleck. Also implied by a throwaway line in the movie by David Desmalchian's character, because he says the Atreides Legion are the finest in the Imperium, trained by Gurney Halleck and Duncan Idaho.
Yeah.
And
he's just personally trained by them too.
Yeah, and Duncan Idaho is arguably the fiercest fighter in their known galaxy, their own universe.
But he dies like a loser.
So, yeah. He dies saving everyone's lives.
He died like a bitch.
What a punk.
And he's being trained in combat by Duncan Idaho and Gurney Halleck. He's also he's an amalgamation of that fighting and smarts by his mother, his influence from his father and leadership.
Yep.
It's a melting pot.
And less so in the movie. He's also got mentat abilities.
No shit.
In the book, it's way more prevalent, but in the movie, it's very lightly implied with his relationship with Hawat. When he sees him on Arrakis, he's like very excited to see Hawat.
Yeah.
Like they're like friends. Like they spend a lot of time together.
He's like a stat maxed character.
Yeah. He is an amalgamation, and he is the perfect recipe for the one.
Yeah.
Basically, and it's almost just like a coincidence that he has all of these other abilities, and then he takes the water of life, and it just fucking enhances everything.
Yeah.
Well, his mom does say, she's like, you have one step left, take the water of life.
I don't know if
she says it, and then like 30 minutes, 45 minutes of screen time happens, and you're like, you would kind of think that she would be like, hey, Paul, did you take the water of life yet? You really need to get on the water of life.
Yeah, get on the ship.
We got a prophecy to fulfill.
So, I mean, is it the common because now that we're talking about it more in depth, that my smooth brain couldn't comprehend, is it accepted that the mom was like manipulating him to be like a leader this whole time without him knowing? And is that why you're saying that he gained the smarts?
Well, that's just because he was trained by her,
and she's super smart,
and she's at Bene Gesserit.
What was he trained by?
She was training him in the Bene Gesserit ways,
to use the voice,
which you don't.
Oh yeah, the voice,
which you don't do with males in the Bene Gesserit, because the Bene Gesserit are essentially witches, and it's all female.
I love that there's not even just the Bene Gesserit who say, she says, what a waste on a male.
Yeah.
And then another point in time when she's about to drink the water of life, it says, it would kill a male.
Yeah.
Which implies that females are the stronger of the two, which which is great.
I mean, I agree with that. I would just in real life.
I would just kill myself if I have a child. I'm trying to squeeze a child out.
Yeah.
Instant death.
Yeah. I mean, and all of that leading up, all the way to the point of him taking the water of life, learning that his grandfather is the Baron, is all the Bene Gesserit design. Even Jessica didn't know.
Yeah.
And she was taken as a baby via flashback and didn't know that her dad was the Baron. And they kept that from her because they, like she says in the
How did she have hair?
Maybe they just shaved their heads.
They don't.
She's also part
Fade Routha doesn't even have eyebrows. I don't think any of them have eyebrows.
I don't think so either.
They all have alopecia.
Yeah.
She just didn't. She had the dominant Bene Gesserit genes.
But yeah, it's all like intentional. Like she was taken from them. Like she was given up by the Baron. Like essentially an illegitimate child.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck anyways.
No. And it was even like, does he even know that she's?
No, he doesn't. Because he was surprised.
Yeah. And then
grandson.
And she is essentially the reason why this is all happening, because she chose to have a boy because she was in love with Duke.
So my question for you, I guess you don't know this yet because you haven't read Dune Messiah.
I'm halfway through.
Okay, good. So is his sister really the Messiah?
No.
Because she has a name like, it had a Q in it, a name of a different like
No,
Messiah.
Paul is the Kwisatz Haderach,
Oh, okay. So
which is the Bene Gesserit's term for the one who is
I thought
can
that
see beyond space and time.
at one point that she said that he would lead to the Kwisatz, whatever, and that was Anya Taylor-Joy.
No, she's
daughter.
essentially just she's born a reverend mother in the story because she took the water of life when she was pregnant.
In Dune, Lynch's Dune, she's already a child.
Yeah, and that's how it is in the book. She's born after the end of part 1, the movie, and in the story, it's 2 years that are in between. It just does a time jump, 2 years, and Alia is born. That's her name, and she's actually the one who kills the Baron in Lynch's Dune and in the book.
Oh, interesting.
And fun fact about that.
I love his death in this one.
Yeah, I do too. So satisfying.
Very
Grandfather.
very poetic because so in the movie Paul kills the Baron, which very satisfying.
Yeah,
like
very.
it's
Oh, hey, you're here.
Probably-
Oh, you're stabbing me.
probably the better one of the better changes from the book because it makes his death more poetic and Paul's arc more satisfying.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who had to live through his family being killed.
Yeah.
And it's only right that he's the one who
Gets that.
delivers the knife. In the book, he has a vision of him standing over the Baron and saying, "Hello, grandfather." But that doesn't actually happen in the book. Alia kills him with the needle, the Gom Jabbar.
Oh, interesting.
And interesting enough as well, another layer, Paul stabs him in the neck in the same spot where the Gom Jabbar would kill you in the test. And he says, "You die like an animal." And in the test, it says, "An animal caught in a trap will gnaw off its own legs to escape." So it's almost like a nod to the book and the book readers.
Right.
I like how when Gurney is training Paul at the beginning in the weapons room or whatever.
Yes.
And he's saying, you fight when the need arises.
No matter the mood.
You don't feel like it. Fuck you, basically. You
Yeah.
know? And but
It's a great scene.
the way that they end the fight, they're both stabbing each other, and he's like, "I would have taken your life too," or whatever. And that's how he kills Fade Routha.
Yeah, that was insane. That
Yes.
pays. I definitely caught that. Like if you're watching,
It's like that it could be the longest foreshadowing of any movie series.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's a bit of foreshadowing, and it takes 4.5 hours of screen time to get to the payoff or something like that.
Same with the Reverend Mother, the one who tests Paul, says, "You have more than one birthright," foreshadowing because she knows that his grandfather is the Baron.
I didn't catch that even.
And it's almost like because she says because you're Jessica's son, and it's like what does that mean without seeing where the story goes? But then it happens, and then it's like, oh.
And that's the advantage of watching it consecutively, the parts 1 and part 2, because the payoffs definitely are more satisfying when you can see it in one sitting rather than waiting a couple of years and then having to revisit it and be like, oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah. A couple things I wrote some visions and payoffs. I got some here, like the one we just mentioned. The most impressive one to me is the Gurney Halleck training and him using the same technique to kill Fade Routha. Like probably one of the best payoffs in this movie.
I like how Fade Routha just copies him.
Yeah.
Well, for one, the first fight, he says, what's the guy's name he killed at the end of the first one? Gemmis. Gemmis says, "May your knife chip and shatter," and then Paul doesn't say anything. He just goes. He does the whatever. He does a little
the Duncan Idaho
Atreides salute. Yeah. And then at the beginning of that fight, he does both. "May your knife chip and shatter." And he does a thing, and then Austin Butler's like, "May your knife chip and shatter."
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
So the opening sequence of part 1, it opens with Chani delivering a voiceover.
Some of that.
Part 1, "My Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low." In part 2, when Paul and Chani are sitting on top of the dune together, same shot, pretty much the same exact line.
Yep.
Scene with Duke Leto and Paul in the cemetery, tells him I found my way to it. Maybe you'll find yours in regards to leadership.
Let's pay off.
And then when he says he found his way, puts the ring away. When the Fremen leader tells Paul he must kill Stilgar to take his place, Paul says, "You think I'm stupid enough to deprive myself of the best of us?" In my opinion, a callback to when Duke Leto tells Hawat, "You would deprive us of your talents at this time," after the assassination attempt on Paul, showing us how much his father's impact as
I was
leader.
going to say, that just shows how much he's just like his father.
Yeah. Even in a context when he's like not, he still is like collection of these trainings and influences. The vision of Paul as a Fedaykin fighting alongside the Fremen in the battle, when he's having that vision in the still tent and sees Chani, she's like dressed like Jesus, and he's looking down at the war. You see him like doing all these like cool moves and killing all these Sardaukar. And we see a very similar sequence, but it's Chani at the end of that instead in a mirrored position. So like, when his helmet like comes up and it's like, oh, it's Paul and he has blue eyes and the vision and the sandworms erupting from the background. Yeah. It's Chani at the battle at the end in that same exact position except mirrored. Let's see.
My favorite line in part 2 is when Gurney says something along the lines of, "Your father wouldn't pursue revenge."
Yeah,
and Paul is just like, "Fuck that."
Yeah. Well, guess what? I'm not my dad.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck that.
And you're not be my dad either.
In the same scene, after he kills the Baron, Paul tells his fighters to give the Baron's body to the desert. And what did the Baron say in part 1? Arrakis is Arrakis, and the desert takes the weak.
That's great. Love that.
Yeah. So, and there's probably like a lot more that I didn't get, but yeah, a lot of great payoffs that I found on watching it and just like looking up more. There are some moments from the book that I wanted to bring up versus the movie. The moment in the movie after Paul's assassination attempt and the Duke is really pissed off, basically, the Duke says, "They tried to take the life of my son." And in the book, he keeps repeating that line to himself, like in his head. It just keeps appearing like every second paragraph. It just like is in italicized, showing us that he's thinking that they tried to take the life of my son. They tried to take the life of my son because he's mad, but also I think it's because he feels like he's partly responsible for putting his only son in danger by bringing him here to Arrakis.
Sure.
And the way that Oscar Isaac delivers that line is like, every time I hear it, it's like a gut punch. Because he's so angry and he's so frustrated and just with everybody and himself that this could happen.
Daddy Leto.
In the book, there's a dinner scene with a bunch of people with the Atreides, like when they first arrived. It's like a welcome dinner. There's a bunch of people there's like smugglers there and some other people and some other locals to start developing
Other locals.
a rapport with them, which is pretty much omitted from the movie, except it's kind of replaced with the scene when the Baron is eating the Atreides food and Leto is captured and paralyzed and stripped. In the original dinner scene in the book, he exclaims, "Here I am and here I remain," as a toast, basically, to his guests. As the beginning of a toast, and meaning that he's just not here. It's not just here I, Duke Leto, am here, and here I, Duke Leto, remain. It's here I, Atreides, am, and here I, Atreides, remain. In the context of the movie, it still has that meaning. And even without the context of the book, it's essentially telling the Baron that even after I'm dead, my actions will have a lasting impact that you will feel for the rest of your life, i.e. now you have to sleep in oil baths and have ventilators to live.
I thought he was in there just for pleasure.
That's what I thought too.
Because he's in there before at the beginning of the...
Well,
Was he?
No. After he gets poisoned, he goes into the oil bath saying that his healing is... He's healing in there. Another big moment in the movie, in the book, when Chani starts falling in love with him, it's more stark in the book.
Yeah.
Chani is a much different character in the book. She's more of like a worshiper, and she like agrees with everything Paul's doing.
Oh, okay. I like her being the young person who doesn't buy into that bullshit.
Way better version in the movie, in my opinion. So Paul in the book, he kills Jamis, and right away she's like, "That guy's hot."
I like how she goes when she's talking about Stilgar and how he's from the Deep South.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Yeah, everyone from the South is religious. do you know Stilgar's from the South? And he goes, no, I didn't know that. You didn't catch his accent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm from a different fucking planet,
Yeah.
guy.
I know. He's like coming over. He's like, what are you guys laughing about? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't bother.
No big deal. He was probably my favorite character, and it was like, I'm so glad he got more screen time in the second one.
Yeah, same.
And he almost had a number of comic relief moments too, like when he's like, yeah, Muddy is so
humble.
He's so humble. He doesn't pretend to be Muddy, which means it's even more likely that he's Muddy.
He can definitely put a smile on my face.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Fun fact that I learned reading the book after seeing the movie. There was a lot of like, oh my god, that's in the book. That's in the book. I can't. That seems like such a movie thing, like an only movie thing. Like for example, in part 1, when they're Paul and Jessica running away from the sandworm, like that just seems like a visual cue type thing to just make it exciting.
Yeah.
But that's very much in the book. I was like, oh, that's in the book. But this moment specifically, so Hans Zimmer did the score, like composed a bunch of movies and stuff. So one of the title tracks of the movie is A Time of Quiet Between Storms, and it's a track that serves as both Paul's and Chani's like love theme, basically.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And it also closes out the movie in a much different context. And Hans Zimmer even like asked one of his people in his orchestra to essentially modify or invent a new instrument to play what you're hearing in the beginning of the song right here. It's like a flute-esque type instrument.
Yeah.
So this is a modified instrument.
There's a lot of great behind-the-scenes stuff with Hans Zimmer.
I thought you were gonna say he was gonna have one of his people in the orchestra fall in love with that person.
Yeah. So the title track of this is A Time of Quiet Between Storms, and that is directly from the book. It's not a line said in the movie or anything, but the quote from the book is this. She put a palm against his cheek. I'm no longer afraid, Usul. Look at me. I see what you see when you hold me thus. What do you see? He demanded. I see us giving love to each other in a time of quiet between storms. It's what we were meant to do.
God damn, that was so dramatic with the music
I know.
behind.
Having sex now? Okay.
And when I read that, I was in bed reading, and Deanna was asleep, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, Deanna, look.
That's a good line.
She wasn't nearly as impressed as I was, but
I know that was beautiful.
I just thought that was really cool that they put that in such a part of the movie, not in the movie, but like in the soundtrack of the movie.
Yeah,
and the track of title is from the book, and it's not even it's not aligned in the movie.
Yeah, clever line for sure.
Yeah. Why did I say this one? Oh, I said that one for.
I liked hearing from Hans Zimmer about this woman. He found her. She has a very specific type of yell in real life.
Yeah.
Just a random tweaker on the corner
with a great voice.
Han is like, "Oh yeah, I want her." Like, I don't know, Mr. Zimmer.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of instrument that even is. Some drum and something else.
Probably.
Maybe it's like a bass flute or something.
Yeah. Something that I haven't even like talked about is like obviously the technical stuff about this movie. I mean, it's easy to say that it looks fucking great and it sounds great and it's edited really well and it's just the wardrobe, set design.
Yeah, everything is
the visual effects is fucking awesome.
There's another great, we had mentioned him earlier in the last episode, Thomas Flight, that has a great episode or YouTube video that's called "Why Does Dune Look That Way?" or something like that. And it's about how instead of using green screen for stuff, they used sand screens, like tan background screens.
Oh
Yeah.
So when you see the reflection of like the ornithopters, you don't see a green tint to like the reflections and stuff, or no blue tint. It's all tan.
Interesting.
And it's really kind of fascinating how they do a lot of this stuff. But even so much as looking at like a modern Marvel movie, or say for example the Star Wars movie, the newer Star Wars movies, a lot of times they like, we got the whole spaceship, we want you to see the whole goddamn ship, you know. We paid money to design the goddamn we're gonna show you the whole thing in full light and everything.
Yeah.
And in this like when the Bene Gesserit are flying down to Caladan and landing at night through the stormy skies and the trees and stuff, you barely even see that ship.
Yeah.
No.
It's just lights coming down, and you barely see a glimpse of it, and you're like, that's more true to life. You don't get a fully framed, well lit shot of this giant ship.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. It makes the movie feel more like you're in a real thing rather than watching a cartoon. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I've kind of felt the same way when I saw that scene too.
Yeah, there's like, it's like even the coloring of this movie. I was watching something else about kind of like similar to that type of video, but just specifically about the color of the movie, because each house has a color to their world. Like Atreides is very green and blue.
Green and blue, yeah.
Harkonnen's obviously like black and white, gray, white, without life, without color. And the Emperor's planet is a little bit more, also kind of like green, a little bit more tropical colors. And Iraq is obviously very orange and tan in the desert.
You didn't even comment on Gady Prime, the Harkonnen planet, how
the gladiator,
the exterior. Every exterior shot is shot because their sun is like not a yellow sun, it's a white sun or something.
Black sun.
Black sun. It's a black hole sun.
Yeah.
Black hole sun.
So it's shot in IR, right?
It's shot, the gladiator scene is shot in infrared.
And you can see as they go from like the interior of like the buildings and they come out, it goes from a yellow lit natural light into this black and white infrared light. Really crazy. And it's done in camera, right?
Yeah, they shot infrared.
That's so fucking cool.
Like there, and they were like, they needed approval to do it. Like, if we do this, we can't add color.
And there was interesting. They had like fireworks in the sky, but they were like oil,
like ink blocks.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
Like, that's really cool.
And another thing that was surprised me, that the triangular gladiator arena is like, that's a very visually cool thing for the movie. But it is in the book. They describe it. And I was like, oh my God.
That's cool.
Again, it's in the book.
Go figure.
There's some characters that are omitted from the movie that they filmed scenes with. Tim Blake Nelson had a role in this movie.
Really?
And he plays, Leia Seydoux, Margot Fenring, the Bene Gesserit who seduces Phaedra Alpha.
Yeah.
Tim Blake Nelson plays like her husband, basically.
Interesting.
And Tim Blake Nelson, the character, his name is like Casimir Fenring, and he's essentially the Baron's like best childhood friend.
Oh, doesn't she hook up with Phaedra Alpha?
Yeah, for Bene Gesserit designs. And canonically, he's like a eunuch. Like he was born a eunuch.
What does that mean?
He ain't got
dick.
He ain't got no dick.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it just meant you had no balls.
It could be that too.
There's an interview with him.
It's basically asexual. You cannot have sex.
There's an interview with him on some show where he talks about like that he did film scenes for Dune Part 2 that were left on the cutting room floor, along with there are scenes with Hawat, Stephen McKinley.
Yeah, Henderson.
Yeah. And he also filmed more scenes for Part 1 and that were deleted, and more scenes for Part 2 that were just not in the movie.
You know, I respect Denny for a lot of things, and I respect his decision with this, but he says when the movie's done, movie's done.
That's it.
We're never gonna have a director's cut. We're never gonna.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the studio's gonna just snatch up some of those and put them on like the extras for the discs or whatever.
Yeah.
But he is very.
This is the cut.
This is it.
This is what you get.
You ain't getting another one, which is really I admire that, but it's sad.
Yeah.
I know there were some
I want to
things.
see Tim Blake Nelson.
I know there are some things that I wish I could have seen. There are things in the book that like I understand why they omitted them, because like that's very much like a book thing.
Yeah.
That fits in the context of words.
Yeah.
Not visually. So Liet Kynes, the Imperial ecologist in the first one, the character is a man in the book, and canonically Chani is her daughter. and Stilgar is Chani's uncle.
What?
All of that is kind of inconsequential to the grand scheme of the story.
Yeah.
You're blowing my mind right here.
But Liet Kynes in the movie, female, obviously. In the book, the character has a much longer, kind of drawn out and way more poetic death. Because in the movie, she's killed directly by the Sardaukar because she betrayed the Emperor in helping going against what they're trying to do and helping the Atreides. In the book, they do kill her, but they don't like stab her. They just like essentially put her in the desert and like without a still suit, and she has like this. I'm just saying she because the character is she in the movie.
Yeah.
She has this poetic death where she's like essentially like talking to herself and had this monologue and conveying one of the main themes of the story about Paul is like we need to beware of the hero, and she uses that word, the hero, which would be Paul,
Right.
and then she gets killed by like it's like a spice deposit in the middle of the desert.
She snorts herself to death.
Think of it like I guess like a geyser, like
Yeah.
a geyser of spice that just is like hot and just obliterates her. But I would have been interesting to see that, but I'm glad that they didn't expand on certain characters and
You can only do so much.
emphasize.
It's got 5 hours already.
I know.
5 hours and like 22 minutes or something like that.
I know, and as much as I love living in that world, like it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And there's so much more. Like in the movie, there's a lot of implications. It's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Especially if you haven't read the story.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, it's like that too.
Yeah.
It's like the lips of the Mentats, like they had the stained lip.
Yeah.
They don't really explain that in the book, but they say it's a Sappho stained. And in the back of the book, there is a glossary.
There's a glossary.
There's a glossary
that makes sense.
of definitions of certain things and things that like, oh, I remember the Mala pistol, which is the gun that he takes
From
at the end.
Shani.
And he's like, you'll get a Mala pistol when you
And
earn
then
it.
it never comes back again.
It doesn't come back in the book either.
Oh, really? All right. Well, cool.
So it's just like a dart gun. Also, why there's so many they like going back to why they use swords versus like traditional shooting guns and stuff. And there's like laser guns. They call them las guns. The shields. And also why they don't use shields in the desert. The las guns will, if they were to come in contact with a shield, would essentially cause a nuclear explosion.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, not canonical in the movie universe.
Yeah.
But also it's like,
Oh, Jesus.
the question of like, why don't they just use the guns all the time?
Yeah.
Why don't they just use it all the time? I would assume the Fremen, it's like resources, like they're limited. They're like manufacturing like these rockets, and then carrying around those big laser guns are not very efficient.
Especially in a hot environment like that. You're just wasting water as
That's
right.
say.
And then looking back at like how they like, he very subtly describes how shields work in that first training sequence. Like the slow blade penetrates the shield, whereas like if you were to just shoot someone with a bullet, it would just bounce off.
It's a great scene with the dart where it's going in the back of his
and it's like
and it's slowly going in, slowly faster and faster.
And then even with the doctor, his character, he's got like, because he can just like touch you and like know your vitals, and it's just because
That's
of
pretty
You can't do that?
no.
no.
Well, I guess. Interesting.
And there's like so much more context to his character and his like conditioning and training, and it's so much more lore behind these characters.
I'll never know that because I'm never going to read the book.
But yeah, even just at a surface level of like, to me anyway, watching the characters, it was like, this is really cool. But yeah, anything else?
No, I'm ready to grade this thing.
I thought I had a thought, but
There's a lot that we didn't say, like the sandworm riding sequence. I watched part 1 in IMAX on a re-release right before part 2 came out, and they showed that Chalamet and Florence Pugh came up and was like, "Thanks for watching Dune Part 1. Here's a sneak peek for Part 2." And then was the
it was the sand riding scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like when he says, what's this called? What do they call the sandworms?
Shai Hulud.
Shai Hulud. Shai Hulud will decide if you're Fremen.
Or if you die.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you'll die.
Yeah, he was Stilgar was a good,
Yeah, still.
like, kind of comic relief character.
Yeah.
Because the way he like delivered lines was.
I know he goes, in the centipedes, you don't have to worry about the big ones. They're but the little ones.
I know. He's like
The
this.
little
Yeah,
one.
it's like a foot and that 3 feet long. You're like, shit.
But yeah, I think I said what I wanted to
Yeah,
say.
All right.
same here.
So yeah, let's get into some grades. Tyler, as we went in that order in the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
I would grade this movie a B plus.
B plus. Okay. Overall, part 1, part 2 combined.
Part one, yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna consider it all one movie.
Whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I was harsh on it in the beginning, but after like discussing like the more deeper meaning of the story, that went over my head.
There's a lot there.
I have a more greater appreciation, and I didn't realize how easily I could be seduced by a messiah. Like that blew my mind when you brought that point up.
Well, this guy sounds good.
Yeah. That white guy's making a whole lot of sense.
Game recognized game.
Man, that twink knows how to yell.
I think overall, though, I would watch the part 1 and part 2 consecutively. If I were gonna put on Dune, it would have to be like a half a day thing.
Yeah.
And it's just visually stunning. All the actors did a great job, and I always kind of have a problem with like the one kind of stories, but this one's kind of done in a unique way than other ones.
Oh, so you don't like the Bible? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, not a fan.
Or the Matrix?
You don't like the Bible?
I do like The Matrix, but that's a little bit more superficial than Dune, I think.
I think it's literally the same story.
It on a basic level, it is. But with Dune, like it kind
The
of
society that he's brought into, they live below the surface because
Okay. All right.
just like in the Sieges.
But yeah, I think this is also like a movie that I could probably only watch like once a year. It's so dense. I don't know if I could just watch it like once a month or like once every 5 months. Just make it like a tradition, like watch it on some day once a year.
Easter.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. There you go. But yeah, B plus for me.
Cool. Pete.
A plus, easy, fantastic. Like you said, I think I'm pretty lockstep with you when it comes to the feelings about it. Like as a whole, being this expansive, really like immersive experience that Denis was able to bring to us. I mean, it makes sense because Peter Jackson had a love for Lord of the Rings, and Denis Villeneuve had a love for Dune.
Right.
And it's like once they were able to unlock, and it's still crazy that they gave Peter Jackson that so early in his career.
What did you make before this?
Oh yeah,
Dead Alive. Huh?
Meet the Hollow. No, was it Meet the Feebles?
Meet the Feebles?
Yeah.
And
You're our guy.
Heavenly Creatures, I think. It just none of it seemed like it made sense. But leading into this, Denny had Blade Runner 2049, Arrival.
Already a sci-fi director.
Yeah, already could show the scope and scale of what he was able to achieve and whatnot. And then I assembled my team.
Yeah.
He was able to pry Hans Zimmer away from Christopher Nolan.
I know.
Break that like friendship that they had, that inseparable bond.
Yeah.
It's like being able to take De Niro or Leonardo DiCaprio away from Scorsese,
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I can't work with him anymore. I'm working with fucking Nolan now or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really is a fantastic story, and it's a movie that needs to be watched back to back to see the full experience, to show the full story and just how impressive and the like if you were to stand on the highest, like if you were standing on the roof of this house and look over the horizon, you may be able to see Denis Villeneuve's balls from Canada from here, because they're just so fucking huge.
Yeah.
After this undertaking of what he did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
calling his shot a movie in advance, and it's like it was fantastic. My one gripe that I had throughout was I wish that Paul would just tell Johnny his plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in all reality, how do you explain that? It would end up coming off
Have you ever had a dream
very similar to
Listen to
this.
that you
Cause I got to do this so I can go over here, and then trust me, otherwise you're gonna die, and then Stilgar's gonna die, and the whole thing is gonna collapse. So I have to marry her. I mean, you're still my number one, though.
Yeah.
That happens in the book.
He explains it to her.
Either him or Jessica explains it to her,
I mean,
and she's like, "Okay, that's cool."
really?
Yeah, that's how
She's like, chill.
"Yeah."
So now I'm primed and pumped for Dune Messiah. I hope it happens.
I halfway through the book, I have no idea how he's going to do it. I don't want to spoil anything, but they're going to have to get somebody to do this role, or the same person.
Well, Dune Part 2, just to finalize this before you give your thoughts, Joseph, it's 8.6 on IMDb. It's rated as number 35 of all time on IMDb.
Wow.
Of 250?
On the 250.
Wow.
Above Gladiator and Across the Spider-Verse, just below Psycho and Parasite. So, yeah, what a movie.
Yeah.
Part 2. But as a whole, even better. Makes it even better.
Yeah.
It's like one makes the other one better than makes the other one. It's a cycle.
Nice. Cool. A+. Same thing. A+.
Plus.
A++. A plus for each movie. Just the opening sequence of this movie. The orange, the sand, him waking up, and the Harkonnens like hitting those anti-grav riser things and climbing.
Part 2, you mean?
Yeah, climbing up the cliff. Just like
they smell the delicious pie on the windowsill up there, just
bam,
floating up to the top of the mesa.
So fucking cool. And then the immersion that I feel when I watch these movies, because every time I've seen these movies, I'm not like I'm watching a movie.
We're there.
I feel like I'm like when I watch Lord of the Rings. I don't feel like I'm watching movies. I feel like I'm watching history.
All right.
With this one, I feel like I'm watching future history. 8,000 years in the future.
George Lucas was like, that one's set in ours is set in the past, a long time ago. It says the first line you see.
Yeah.
Nothing like Dune.
No.
Please don't sue.
Frank Herbert hated Star Wars when it came out.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, just the immersion that I feel watching these movies, everyone does so well. It's the technical things like the cinematography and the music just elevate everything.
Yeah.
But the story is really what captivates me about this. And I'm sure there's plenty of things that I didn't mention that I probably wanted to mention, but watching these movies is so good. It's like it's my new, like, I've had Lord of the Rings for this long, since early 2000s. Now I have this
on top of it.
Now I have this because I haven't had anything since then that I've like been been obsessed with. That just like it just hits me, just connects with me. I don't know why.
You think after one generation of the Fremen being on Caladan that they're just gonna be like, yeah, big whoop. Yeah. The people that grew up on Arrakis, they're like, wow, it's paradise. Everybody after that's going to be like, okay, why are you?
Yeah.
This is paradise? I mean, it's nice. Don't say it's bad, but.
I mean, another thing that I didn't mention that I really like about this is the fact that we're so far advanced in humanity that, like, since we've gotten rid of machines, it's not like magic that we have. It's just we have so much discipline and training that we can manipulate our own bodies so well that we can like powerfully that we can do it to others as well, like the voice.
Yeah. I love the sound design of the voice too.
And when I was in theater the first time and he fucking tells that bitch,
the Bene Gesserit,
tells that bitch silence.
Reverend Mother.
Oh my God. I was like, I fist pumped the air. I was like, I was so excited. It was like when I watched like the back-breaking scene in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh.
I was like, yes.
Yeah.
It was like that exciting.
So
to me.
yeah, no, I agree with you. That scene,
Another parallel to his first test when she tells him silence.
Oh yeah.
When he's got his
Oh
hand,
yeah, and when they're in
Excuse
the
me.
ship.
when he's got the pain box, and
Put your hand in the box.
he's like fucking groaning in pain, and she's silence, and then he fucking just lets her have it at the end there, and it's satisfying.
Very sad.
So yeah, A++ from me, A+ from Pete, B+ from Tyler. That's it for Dune. We did it. Let's move on to the wheel.
1 wheel, 8 slots, 3 hosts. This is the Wheel of Destiny.
All right, Dune. Off the wheel. Joseph, what are you going to replace it with?
All right, we tackled that.
We did.
We did. Now I think the three of us, we are qualified to tackle race relations and end racism once and for all.
There is no racial bigotry here.
Okay. All right.
We're going to watch Do the Right Thing.
Oh, cool. I've never seen it.
Yeah, Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing. I've seen it.
Oh yeah, that came out in 90.
Okay, in the 90s.
It came out in the 90s. I know.
Starring John Turturro, Giancarlo Esposito, Spike Lee himself, Sam Jackson, and a few other recognizable faces.
The guy who's in Spider-Man, who's like J. Jonah Jameson's right-hand man. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. So yeah, I've seen this movie a couple times. Really like it. It's really hot and
I was
sweaty.
going to say, this and Predator 2 are some of the sweatiest movies alive.
And it takes place during like a heat wave in New York, and everyone's angry at each other.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. It's right on the wheel next to another one, American History X.
Yeah.
The longest movie that's been on the wheel so far.
So yeah, so we're gonna tackle racism.
Racism.
Jesus.
We're there.
Yeah, we're qualified, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Maybe.
All right, cool. So let's recap what's on the wheel. Do the Right Thing from Joseph. Notting Hill from Joseph. Kentucky Fried Movie from listener Heather. Grizzly Man from listener Dallas. Mute from Pete. Monster Squad from Pete. Suburbia from 1983 from Tyler. And American History X from Tyler. So let's give this a spin. This is what we watch next week. For new listeners that don't know.
What is it?
Mute.
It's Mute.
Mute.
Where's my thing here? There we go. I believe this movie's not good.
Oh, haven't you seen it?
Yeah, I did.
I believe it's not good.
It's the first movie of Alexander Skarsgård playing a mute.
Alexander Skarsgård is in it.
Yeah,
I
I
thought it was
think so.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd's also in it.
Oh, is he?
He's not the main character though. I think he's the main bad guy.
Really?
Mute,
Paul Rudd, a bad guy.
Yeah, he's got like a Fu Manchu in it. All right, let's see where Mute's playing. I want to say it's Netflix because it's a Netflix original. Let's see, Mute IMDb. Let's give us an idea. 2018. Yes, that's the Duncan Jones of Moon fame and also being
David
Bowie's son fame. Written by Michael Robert Johnson and Duncan Jones, directed by Duncan Jones. Michael Robert Johnson, writer of Sherlock Holmes, Pompeii, and Mute. All right. Starring Alexander Skarsgård as Leo, Paul Rudd, Justin Theroux, Levi Eisenblatter, and the rest.
Eisenblatter?
Eisenblatter, yeah. So, excuse me, I'm dying over here. Oh, man, I am dying.
You feeling okay, bud?
No.
No, I'm just coughing. It's hot in here.
Yeah, it is hot in here.
All right, so we'll watch Mute next week. The reason why, I remember it was kind of fantastically a messy movie.
Okay.
Like, I'm watching it, I'm like, wow, this should work. It should work.
This is like a sci-fi?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi future movie. Oh, I'll read the synopsis. A mute bartender goes up against the city's gangsters in an effort to find out what happened to his missing partner. It's kind of like a mishmash of like Fifth Element and Blade Runner future Like it's a little campy, but kind of serious. And I think it's trying to be more serious than it is. And it's more, they need to like lean into the fun and the camp aspect of it. And they don't.
What sci-fi future would you live in? We asked this.
Yeah.
We talked about this last week. Movie sci-fi future.
Yeah. Star Wars doesn't count because that's the past, right?
Yeah.
And it's fantasy.
You know, it's funny. If you go back to the original interviews, Han Solo, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, he says he's telling about Star Wars to some reporter, and he goes, "Yeah, it's a space fantasy."
Oh,
boom!
All right,
done.
He's the
guy that wrote the book.
Han Solo.
Yeah, exactly. What sci-fi future would I live in?
And you're not anybody.
Not some random guy.
No, you're just like transported.
But what about, can I choose what planet? Because in a lot of sci-fi futures, there's planets all over the place.
You're wherever the movie takes place.
Well, in all these movies, like Guardians of the Galaxy, there are multiple planets. You know?
Just keep it to the main.
Do you want to live in Guardians of the Galaxy?
It wouldn't be bad. I'll live in that planet with
but that's still
John C. Reilly.
I guess you would be living in space then. Not Earth.
Well, John C. Reilly, I'd be on that planet with him where he's the police officer.
Oh, okay.
That one. Or I'd take Fifth Element. Fifth Element would be cool.
Looks fun. Zany.
Yeah, it looks
wacky.
wild. They got guys that sell you noodles fly right up to your apartment.
I know, that's tight, actually.
That's pretty dope.
That's pretty dope. DoorDash.
You know, I'll bet you lunch is good news. You're fired. Hey, at least you got one free lunch.
Yeah.
I think Fifth Element is fun.
Yeah.
Crazy aliens, and some of them are a little bit crazy, and some of them are not.
I guess like a Men in Black it's like sci-fi, right?
Yeah, but that's not the future.
It kind of is.
I said Star Trek.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best one.
I got to say, I listened to the show, but most of my trip, I was either drunk or hungover. So I don't remember a lot of the show.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. What'd you say, Joseph?
I honestly don't remember what I said. What did I say, Todd? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
You were there.
I feel like
sober.
I feel
allegedly.
Like I mentioned Fifth Element as well, but I don't know if that's what I landed on.
Well, anyways.
You did say Fifth Element.
Because then I got into the world of like, well, is like an alien invasion movie or a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, is that a sci-fi?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
he's human. He's born on Earth.
It's just aliens visiting Earth. It's not like Earth has future technology.
Yeah, but they have technology that doesn't exist.
But they're not from whatever. This is the complexities of the question.
The complexity of the question.
Have you ever had a dream that
Because I was originally gonna ask, is an alien invasion movie
you do
classify as a sci-fi movie, like Independence Day?
Oh, yeah, that's sci-fi.
Why?
Because the technology that they have doesn't exist.
Who? You don't know.
Aliens.
Yeah, but aliens are so far like a fantastical theory.
But they're using technology that doesn't exist. They're inventing technology within the writing.
The rules of sci-fi is that humanity is humanity's future.
Does it have to be?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Like Blade Runner is humanity's future.
Sure, that's easy to say when you're comparing it to like your own society.
But that's what sci-fi is.
Sci-fi is, it's fictional science. So science, the definition is the practical application of technology, right?
But it's a plausible future.
Yeah, it's a plausible. It doesn't have to be. It could be sci-fi
No,
present.
but that is like one of the rules of sci-fi.
It could be sci-fi present.
But Independence Day is not a sci-fi present.
Is the Jetsons the future?
Idiocracy. That's what I said. That's what we said.
Idiocracy.
Oh, that's right.
Because
Yeah.
we would just be this. We would be like not sure.
I'll be smart as fuck.
Yeah.
God, I would hate to live in that future.
Idiocracy is a sci-fi.
Full of dumb fucks.
Yeah, it would be frustrating.
That would be closer to our reality.
Never, dude. I never would. I could not do it. Our reality is bad enough now. Fast, like multiply the dumbness like 100 times.
100 times, yeah.
Oh God. All right, listeners. Now, for the people who are still clinging on to this goddamn episode, how long has it been running?
It's an hour 40.
Oh my God. People are the brave souls that are still on the stream. Jack, thank you. Or still on the podcast. Is Independence Day a sci-fi?
Is an alien?
Seems like it is a ridiculous question to me. Of
is
course,
it an alien invasion like Mars Attacks? Is that a sci-fi?
Yes,
Why?
because the technology that they use doesn't exist in our world.
Okay. Let's sign us off.
Now, I would say that Mars Attacks is closer to a sci-fi than Independence Day because they create the technology to communicate with the aliens. The humans create that.
Great points. Both great points.
Independence Day, aliens just show up.
And
living in our, at the time, whatever, 94 society, whatever.
How about this though? But in the world of Independence Day, the scientists, when he finds all that, he goes, "Where do you think that all the scientific breakthroughs of the last 20 years came from? From our technology that we use to study these."
So the aliens still
the aliens' technology helped build our modern society that we have today, and we don't know if maybe they have more stuff on the human side.
That's what I would concede is that have technology that we've advanced as humans
because of their technology.
And that's why I didn't bring it up, because I was like, yeah, I guess we would have to invent technology because they go to space.
But just the fact that there's aliens makes it science fiction.
I wouldn't agree with that.
What is that fantasy at that point?
Stop it,
Yeah, it would be.
A fantasy because it's an alien there.
Is Arrival a sci-fi?
Is E.T. is, yeah. And Arrival is.
E.T.?
Yeah.
How is E.T. a sci-fi?
Because they got spaceships.
Who has spaceships?
The aliens.
Yeah,
they
but
pick them up at the end.
We don't have spaceships.
Yeah, but they exist in the universe of the movie. So, listeners, write in. You know what we're asking.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
That's rigid sci-fi.
Tyler's like, get the fuck out of here.
It's hot in here. We're getting heated.
All right.
Literally.
Thank you to our cool ass yard duties over on Patreon. That's Javier, Heather Sachs, Ryan, Corbin, and Chris. If you want to join us on the Patreon, hit us up at patreon.com/middleclassfilmclass. Or you can just follow us on the YouTube every Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. Normally it's like 3 hours. This time it's been like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Has it been like that?
Yeah, it's 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, you never know what you're gonna get. So if you don't show up at 12:30, that's fine. You can come in a couple hours late and we'll still be talking.
We'll be mid-argument.
Yeah, we'll be talking about sci-fi versus fantasy. So until next time. Thank you for joining us on this extendo stream. Follow us next week as we review Mute, the Netflix original with Paul Rudd with a Fu Manchu. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MCFC podcast, and send us an email. We'll read it on the show, mcfcpodcast@gmail.com.
And follow us on Instagram at Middle Class Film Class and leave us a voicemail, why don't you? 209-730-6010.
And follow us on Twitter at Podcast MCFC and on TikTok at Middle Class Film Class.
All right. Again, thanks for everybody for participating, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
See ya.
Class dismissed.
I gotta get out of here.
The bell doesn't dismiss you. I dismiss you.
You're free to go.
See you next week.
See you later.
See you later.
That's a wrap.
Great show.